try to be quick about this, and if you have any questions, please ask. I'm not going to try to tell any stories. That's what I'm going to talk about. I hope you're ready already. So one of the big things about being an event partner, you're all coaches, you're all hoping to go to events. Hopefully there will be enough events. For that to happen, you need to run some events. Randy has a whole bunch of numbers to tell you how many teams. We're going to have 1,700 teams last year. We're going to have probably over 2,000 teams this year. So we're going to need more events. You'll get a couple things out of this. What I would usually encourage is you to run about 2 events, one in the fall, one in the winter. And that gives you 2 chances that you know your teams are going to these events. And you can kind of set this up as a deadline. I use this and I'll count down. We have 2 weeks until our tournament. We have 1 week until our tournament. You have that many hours of practice left before the tournament. So you have a chance to get into these events. It's not going to cost you anything. You'll get a little bit of money from the teams that show up to participate in your events. And then there's the concessions, which always seems to be a good way to make money at these events. Deadlines for your teams. The biggest part about running the event is, actually I'll handle my tournament manager. It's a piece of software that RAC provides to you. Download it for free. It pretty much takes care of everything for you. The other things that you need to run a tournament, a place to do it, the gym. Usually a good gym with the bleachers will work out pretty well for an event with about 24 teams. To me, one of the most important people is the computer guy, which a lot of times it's that student that can tell you everything there is to know about the computer. He's a great guy to get in there. He will take care of the software for you. If you get somebody who's in charge of that, you can kind of set that aside and say, I don't have to worry about the computer at all. The other is the head ref or the MC. I tend to make those one person, and that's the one person that you count on that knows everything that there is about the tournament. Or everything about the competition. So he's going to know the rules. And yep, he's going to have to do some studying on that. He's going to be able to get up and speak. One of the guys who's not afraid to stand up there and talk and yell at the kids and make sure that they're getting in line, they're getting to the field, they're getting off the field. If you get somebody who's good in that position, that will make your tournament go very well. Queuing is important to make sure that you get all the teams there on time. If you have somebody sitting at the queuing tables, really those spots, if you get good people in those, that makes the whole day go a lot easier for you. I always encourage you not to assign yourself a task, because a lot of times the event partners will say, I'm going to go ahead and do the timing. It's like, just find somebody else to sit there at the computer. You're going to have enough stuff to deal with. The problems that may come up during the day, the occasional coach you need to talk to, the over-involved parent you need to go tell to take a step back, things like that. Great so far, right?
How many volunteers, we've never put on an event, but how many volunteers do you really need? I mean, if you're putting on an event, are we looking at 10, 20, 30?
I tend to go with maybe 15. It depends on everything that you're wanting to do. You've got the concessions, and I've been fortunate enough not to have to deal with that. So, somebody to take care of concessions. Actually, I've had a family that stepped into the concession stand. Mom and the sister were there all day, and so kind of depends on how many you can get to do that stuff. I tend to try to set it up so that my volunteers who are running things, the judges and such, are there for about 4 hours. I think it's a lot easier to get somebody to say, I'll be there for the morning session or the afternoon session, than I'm going to be there for all day.
The big thing also is judges. You can run events without judging. So if you don't have stand judges or design judges, excellent judges, that cuts down a whole bunch of your if you got to run a small event, it's going to be 16 teams, You might be able to get it down 2 fields in a skills field, you might need 6 of those to run it.
But like a state qualifying event that, like Jesse, you guys put on one, how many volunteers did you guys end up having for the concessions and everything? I'm just realistically, how many do I really need to get?
I had a different, like I had, because my son was a junior, so I told my junior parents that they could run the concessions and have the money from it.
Right.
That was my contribution to his junior class. So then they did that. So I didn't worry about concessions either, because it was huge. I think they made $1,500 at my event.
Yeah.
So I probably should have kept it, but it was okay, but that was huge. So that needs to be like its own thing. And then other than that, I probably had 50 to 20 people.
That is one thing, concessions mathematically, we talk about you needing volunteers and, like our school, they need to volunteer, we're spending money. When I look at the math of the dollars amount per hour per volunteer, I'm in the $40 to $50 an hour per man hour at the concession. It's really good money for it. It's not like they're spending umpteen hours working there and only essentially making $10 per hour, $5 per hour working there. They make good money.
I've been told it's like $1,000 for a day, for a Saturday event.
We've pulled 2,000 in ours.
Definitely a place to help make money. Any more on that? Okay. Yeah, one of the things about this, your teams can attend the event. You don't have to pay for your own teams to go to the event. So, especially if you have 5, 6, 7 teams, being able to not pay the $30 per event is really helpful, in addition to having the income. So you can have your own teams. Sometimes if you partner with somebody else, then you have both schools will have their teams attend this event. Again, get volunteers from both schools, then helps kind of offset the cost of the events. When it gets posted on Robot Events, the Robot Events website, it'll be basically open to all of us. So teams will show up. And yes, the good teams will show up at your event and probably take all the trophies. Whoever Jake is, he's going to take all the trophies because that's what they do. Which, again, the thing to do is to learn. Tell your kids, if they're not a strong team, to watch them and see what they're doing. So you can use that as a way to improve your own team.
Steve mentioned 16 teams because you need 16 at least to qualify for a state championship. The difficult part is if you're hosting an event in Indianapolis, which is a popular community, and you say I want 16 teams, you're probably going to get 30 people asking, can you expand your number of teams? And most event partners will expand it past the threshold they're comfortable with. So an average event is around 30 or so when they said I really wanted 16. So the more teams you let in, the more volunteers you might need to start pulling in as well. Yeah.
When they call you up and say, can you expand your tournament, you said, sure, how many volunteers can you supply?
It's a great answer. Yeah.
We've done that.
Contact your teams.
We'll have teams sometimes bring their own practice, bring a field. That's another thing. If you're short on fields, if you want to run 4 fields, you don't have that, you can offer to let a team get in for free if they'll bring a practice field.
So I know there's 24 teams for the Excellence Award. Is it that 24 teams show up or 24 teams that
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was saying, 16 day of the event. Like if you got 16, only 14 show up, it became scrimmage.
Yeah.
Unless I call my boss, whose name's Mike, he's got to click something to make that, because we're only meant to allow.
Yeah.
This happened last year, East Chicago, actually in Indiana, it's in Indianapolis.
That's where we invited Jake and he took the award.
I know, sir.
There were 14 teams.
We had to get special permission to still allow that league, because the reason is, that's when we had a really bad snow weekend and everything, and that was the reason. If it had been just because they had bad,
It's not fair to the teams that come, because that sucks that they were expecting a state champ, so it's not like we're gonna make that exception all the time if we can avoid it.
it was weather related.
But yeah, we wanna make sure that we have, because it's not fair if you've got an event that you gotta allow 7 people to go to, and there's only 7 competitors, and you sweep the house and get all the trophies, and you're like, that's not fair either, so.
I did have somebody complain about that they showed up and took the awards home. And I said, well, because they're here, this is actually a state qualifying event. If they weren't here, then the robot skills would not count towards the state
Yeah, it doesn't
state event.
count. They don't count.
So, with them here, at least you can use your robot skills score to move on. Questions? No? Good. The teams will show up. Don't worry, if you think, we're not sure if anybody's going to show up for our event, they will. Again, because we're so short on teams. Do you have a question?
Will you talk about, entry fees or any?
Yes. I hope. There's a whole lot on this slide. This is one really kind of new thing, the leagues versus a tournament. And there's no really hard guideline on this to say they can only be this kind of team or that kind of team. The tournament is a really good one-day event. You do it one day, it's all done. And what I've seen is that's a little bit better for the teams that are there to compete, to win, to try to get to the state tournament. The league, on the other hand, what we'll generally do for a league is you have 4 sessions. What I did last year, we had one in November, December, January, February. Basically a 2-hour event. Friday night, we set up the field, set up the gym after school. Team showed up for 2 hours, and that was all the attention span the kids needed, which was great, because that's about what some of these elementary kids have. And we were able to run about an hour of skills matches while we had teams checking in, and then about an hour of teamwork matches. And I think during that we had 24 teams in this. We got 4 matches a night per team. So they had, for the whole league, they had about 16 matches. And then we get to the evolution of the robot throughout the season. So you don't have to use the same robot. You probably don't want to use the same robot for the entire season. So they get to evolve and see, well, we saw this great robot as the first event. We want to make one like that. Great. Change the robot, go to the second event. And keep doing that. And that's one of the things, the kids get to evolve through this. I think there's less of an opportunity for them to try to advance to the state tournament from this, because it's more focused on, they have probably 2 teams come out of this on the teamwork. If you do a judging, you can have an excellence team also. But to me, that's not really the reason you're going to do the league event. It's a good one if you're doing your classroom team. And this is what we're going to do. This is going to be our season. Our entire season is going to be this league. And so it's a really good another alternate opportunity for them.
And leagues are not part of early bird. I will have that turned off. And they are invitationals. For example, I already know for a fact right now that Lawrence Township, they're having a Lawrence only league because they have no teams to do it. So that's why it's different.
How many teams is that?
16 minutes.
16.
That doesn't mean 16 every single session. 16 is the league.
Right, so 16 signed up to appear sometime during the league. We had 24
Do
for
they
ours.
have to appear a certain number of times?
They have to appear 60% of the league in order to qualify for the finals, for the championship.
But if you have like a school with 4 teams that does sign up, and they only come to 2 out of the 4. Does the people that win the league still get those qualifying spots?
I mean, 2 will get matches for that session, 2 won't. They'll just
They,
be further down.
they showed up for part of the 20, they are part of the 24 teams, they showed up for the league, right?
Yeah.
So that league counts as a qualifying event. So the champion, which they wouldn't be able to qualify for the championship, but,
Right. I'm just saying, like, the league doesn't lose championship status because 1 or 2 teams don't.
The league's like a tournament.
they are part of the 24 teams and they did show up during the course of the league, right? So even if they only made 1 or 2 of the events, sessions, then you can still count them. We ended up with, I think 2 teams went to the first league meeting. We ended up with 26 teams throughout our season, our league season. And so that's what it counts as, 26 teams.
And the other thing, and I know what you did, skills already found, but it was a limit. It should have-
Well,
Once you use it up, use it up.
yeah.
So then at that point for this year, since there's just the 6, is that 6 for the whole league?
Yes.
For all 4
Because
sections?
the league is like a Saturday event. The entire league would be.
So it's just a Saturday event, just
It's like a Saturday.
Oh.
Yeah, one of the downsides to it is you're setting it up 4 times instead of setting it up once. But again, I really like the way it was, short attention span.
The match schedule will be generated for all of them all
It would be a separate match
No.
for each session.
for each one.
That's part of what we did during the skills time, during the first hour, while teams were running skills, everybody's checked in, we run a match schedule. And so the tournament manager software is set up so that you can say, here's the teams that are here today, generates their schedule.
Can you have a blended league?
Yes. And if you have 10 of each grade level, that's an interstate spot. For a blended event, if you have 10 elementary and 10 middle school, each one will get an excellence state spot. So in that case, that could be 4 state spots. Most of them are going to be 3, but there are going to be some exceptions.
If you want to host an event, again, think about when you want to host it. Early in the season, there's less teams that are really ready to run, which means if your team's prepared, you have a better chance of winning.
After that game. And even then.
Most of the events cost about $30. For the league, that's what they were last year. Maybe more this year. For the league, I think we charged $40, which ended up at $10 a night. That could be more because it's really, they're getting the matches worth of 2 tournaments. So, one of the nice things about this is the Robot Events website takes care of all the money. So you can, you sign up your event, tell them how much you're going to charge. They will charge $5 a team that signs up, and then just send you a check for everything else. The care of the POs, all the fun school stuff you have to deal with, they pretty much handle that through the website, so you don't have to worry about that. REC will provide trophies for the first event, which I think that is a league or an event.
It's for the.
So if you run a league, they'll provide the trophies for it.
You pay shipping.
If you run an event, and what I usually do is run 2 events, then I get all the trophies at one time, pay shipping one time. Awesome. George may have some EP grants.
We do. Anyone that's a new event partner, we do have not a limited amount of fields and game elements, what I mentioned.
George Fields this year.
George wants to give away money.
New event partners.
Are we automatically rolling out for a first-time event partner?
Through a new event partner, what I do is when Randy tells you there's new event partners, I email those and I say, here, just apply for it. And there's just a few questions I ask, and then I have a limited number. I don't even know what I have this year. I'm gonna say maybe 10, not a lot. And then I just go out and say, you're very deserving of it.
The tournament manager software provided by REC, set up specifically for this year's tournament, takes care of all the stuff that you have no idea how to do. I don't know how to set up all the matches or all that stuff. Software takes care of all that. You just plug in, actually, you just say, download the teams from the website. It goes out, finds them, downloads the teams, says, here's your match schedule. Pretty straightforward on what that will do for you. Does all of the matches, scoring, and everything.
Has the tournament manager been updated yet to limit the skills to 3-3?
I think so. The latest came out this evening. So I think it's already.
Yep. Constant updates. Yep, should be 2 teamwork and the excellence if you have 24 teams. Yes, sir.
Something I learned last year, if you're running a tournament manager, I was given advice, have a backup server, because our server decided to run Windows Update and shut down, and when you back up, there's a firewall and it stopped working, but you had a backup. So.
Make sure Windows will take this.
Yes. So My job for the last year has been to go to tournaments on Saturdays and make sure that they go well. And I always have a hard time approaching people. It's like, I'm not here as an enforcer. I'm just here to support you to make sure that you don't have any problems. And so that's been kind of fun for me because I just get to go and tell people what they're doing wrong. Which actually mostly is just telling them how they can do it better. And so if you have any questions, you're totally welcome to ask me about it. Randy gets paid lots of money to do the same thing. And George just wants to talk, so make sure you talk to him.
All I have is last line.
I'm done.
The only thing I would say on this event partner, and maybe you guys don't even realize this, but you know, the people that are hosting events are people just like you. They're wanting an opportunity for their team and provide an opportunity for you. So I think we also need to think about that sometimes. I mean, it takes a lot of energy and effort to host an event. It's not an easy thing to do. I wouldn't say we need to cut some slack to our event partners. They're trying their best. You can give them suggestions, but like being rude and disrespectful to them is just gonna not make them want to do an event. So what you could offer is, hey, I could help you out at your next event if you want to improve some things. So you should be offering to help volunteer and bringing parents to help you. So anyway, just
I went to a couple events and I didn't really like how they were being run, so I just did it myself. I said, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And that's what I'll say to you. If you see something that you don't like about how an event's run, time to step up and do it. It's not a huge thing, and we're all here to support you in that.